From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 235 of From the Middle. We are three middle class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives, with a point of view somewhere in the middle. Speaking of being in the middle, are we getting fake seafood? We also have a lot of questions about what fake seafood might be made of and what it entails. You're definitely going to want to check it out. There's some interesting discussion there. We talk a little bit about some bowl games that have been played very shortly. And what popular Christmas movies and songs would you get rid of if you could kick them right out of rotation? On the backside, we talk about some of the things that we're watching, and I think you're going to enjoy that discussion too. So enjoy the episode, share it with a loved one or enemy, and hit the intro music.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
You know, something that I've always wanted to do that in how many episodes? Over 200. I've never got to do.
What's that?
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. But seriously, we actually got a letter too from the middle. You can see it if you're
wonderful.
From the Middle podcast with my address. You can all stalk me now. And it's from our friend Jordan.
Artwork. Yeah.
It's from our friend Jordan, who's made a bunch of cool games. Jordan McLaughlin. He sent us a holiday card. That's super nice. And I won't read the whole back, but there's a nice message and he signed it. And it's very cool. I don't know that we've ever gotten mail as a podcast before.
That's fun.
That's so cool. Shout out to Jordan McLaughlin and Rookie Mage Games. Thank you for the holiday card.
Thanks for the holiday card. And it was, he was on episode 181. He also did one of our very limited edition Tangents episodes. Called Nuns with Nunchucks, which I got to chat with him again because he had a Kickstarter going at the time. And so he's done a couple of our types of content. And it was just so nice to get a holiday card with one of his little characters on it. So there we go. It only took 230 episodes. And we got some mail. So
thanks, Jordan. Oh, that's fun.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
That's really fun. Speaking of correspondence, I talked about on the last episode, Dylan talked about rather, how we got to go see Pete Corielli live here in Columbus. I took a caricature framed to him I told the whole story about how that all worked. He emailed.
Aww.
And I was like, what a classy guy. So he sent an email. He thanked me for the artwork. He said his wife and daughter approve. It's now hanging in his office. And
wonderful.
I thought that was so sweet that he did that. And of course, because I'm a weird fanboy / stalker, I had to reply not just once, but 3 times because I forgot to do like a PS and you can't edit sent emails.
Yeah.
So I just piled on. Well, what I wanted to reinforce to him was what Dylan had said, sort of apologizing that the crowd was light. Hey, there was a lot going on in Columbus that night. We're a polite city, blah, blah, blah. He just now responded again 8 minutes ago and said, my man, no need to apologize for the light crowd. It is what it is, but I love that you tried. Thanks again for the drawing. Have a Merry Christmas. I thought that was awesome. So
I love him.
Pete and I are best friends, in case anybody...
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? And he's probably recording his podcast right now talking about, guys, I got fan art.
Probably not his first bit of fan art, though, if I'm guessing.
Probably not. But
probably the best piece of fan art he's ever gotten.
Absolutely.
But not the first, probably.
Well, that's debatable. But hey, I thought it was really classy because I'm sure he's given a lot of gifts and tchotchkes and things that people want him to have more than they probably should. But I thought it was nice that he replied. or reached out rather and circled back and said, "Hey, thanks, man. That was cool."
Yeah.
It was very cool of him.
Speaking of art and holiday mailings, are you guys Christmas card families, Christmas card people? Do you do Christmas cards? Send them out.
Yes, my wife has made us a Christmas card family. Is the answer? Yes.
We are not
right.
and never have been, and I feel guilty about it every year when we get
should.
sent cards from other families.
You should.
We've never either put together. It never even crosses my mind to do such a thing. And I feel like part of that is like you have to have a lot of forethought, more than I have. To like at some point, like way earlier in the year, you have to take a photo that you're thinking to yourself, this is going to be the Christmas card photo. And or I don't know how people do that. That's how I assume people do that. Like they're thinking about this in like October and they take a photo. And then to gather the addresses. I'm a part of a messaging group with a bunch of my old friends from high school. And it comes up every year. Like, does anybody have a changed address? And then people go in and change their addresses, and I always get a good handful, and I appreciate them. I love them. That's the only reason why I have any regret for not sending them is because like I know when I receive one from somebody who like I haven't even seen in a decade, it makes me feel happy that like they thought about me at least for a split second to think to they had to type my name out at some point or something, right? And that makes me feel happy, and then I get to see them and I remember them and the good memories and whatnot. But then there is an example that popped up, and maybe some of you can use this idea because it wasn't followed through with, and I wish it had. I was at a did I talk about the fact that I played D&D for the first time in a long time?
Yes.
I was at that party and with a couple of those high school friends, and a couple of which I hadn't seen in years. And they were talking about that text message thread, and the one had said something snide to the other. I forget what it was. But Idiot Jim was actually one of the two involved in that conversation. And and my other friend had said, "You know what? You're lucky." And he showed us on his phone the mock-up that he made of a Christmas card that was like of a buff man in a Speedo with Jim's face on it. And was like really close. Like I sense that he has expendable income, and like he was about to just take those addresses and just send it out to everybody as though it was from Jim. And I kind of want to do that next year. I kind of want to prank one of my old friends with
that would have been money well spent. Honestly,
I agree.
Like totally worth it. I think that process is much simpler now than it used to be. I mean, you used to have to go to a studio, get formal photos, have some place, put them all together, print a bunch. You couldn't just easily text people to get addresses in the past. You'd have to look up a phone book or call them or whatever. And I feel like that's changed a lot. Like we mostly just put photos of our daughter on our cards. And we already have digital versions of those from like your iPhone has studio portrait mode, and those photos look incredible. Like take a picture of your kid in front of a tree and all the tree lights are blurry and it looks like awesome. And so you upload a couple of those to Shutterfly. They have the templates there. You put in a promo code and you order a bunch and they come with envelopes. Like I feel like a lot of that process has been streamlined with really nice phone photos and Shutterfly.
Okay.
And then from there, you're just texting for a handful of addresses.
Now, could you even have Shutterfly, or I assume there's maybe another service out there that would actually you just plug in the addresses?
Maybe, but
it'll
even
just,
like
you never even see them.
Even like most of the Office, like Microsoft Office probably has a template where you can go in and like type in all the addresses once and then save that file, and then every year open it, make changes, and then print it onto that little sticky label paper.
Oh,
and
sure.
So it's like You could do that too, where it's like you just save the file and year over year you just update a couple addresses. I feel like a lot of that's been ironed out with technology. But I'm sure if you wanted to pay somebody, you could probably pay somebody to take a list and write them in calligraphy or like fill it all out for you. That's got to be one of those. What's if you order from IKEA, they've got the place that'll like, hey, we'll assemble this for $50. There's got to be a website like that you could just hand them a stack of things and go, I need these mailed out.
Yeah. You know, we've lived in this house for 9 years, and we still every year, like it's about the very first Christmas card that we receive every year is for the previous owners of this house. And it's from such a nice looking family that it comes from. Relatively young, certainly young enough that they, ought to be in on the text messaging game or whatever. But we, we receive our card every year from the McCutcheons or whoever they are. And
I hope you put it up every year.
We do. We have a spot in our kitchen where we put up all the Christmas cards, and that one goes up, man.
Well, I was going to say for your 10th year in the home, you should reply with your first ever Christmas card and go, "This is now the 10th year we've received your card. And we've lived in this house for 10 years." So anyway, love the photos. Keep them coming.
Yeah. We should have been saving them all these years so I could go back and like how the kids have grown. I don't know you guys, but holy cow,
Tommy really looks after the mom. Takes after, not looks after.
Your youngest boy has really grown up.
Yeah, I want a whole pre-thought out version of how you and Amy both react the same way when people come over and visit and they see it on the fridge, like, oh, that's who's that? And both of you just go, oh. They're so sweet.
Don't get me started on the McCutcheons.
You just turn and walk away and nobody ever gets an answer to who the family is.
A few follow-ups to this questions rather. So, by the way, Dylan and I's mom informed me the other day that she's just now started to listen to our podcast. And she just finished episode 17 with Idiot Jim. And so I said, "Oh yeah, you've been listening." She goes, "Yeah, I think I'm on 17. What's up, turbo virgins?" And quoted James's line from that episode. And I think it's in that episode where we basically bash our parents a little bit for falling for the satanic panic and all that.
Did you have something to say about that? You might not want to tell us because she's listening.
She didn't. But anyway, it's going to take her forever to get to 235. So anyway, so that's one thing. Second thing, do you think the sending Christmas card tradition is like a hanger on from the previous generation? Like photography is still very popular. People still like photos. We still enjoy receiving them as well. We tape them all to the main hallway in our first floor, like from our foyer back to the back of the house. We tape them all up right there. So we see all the families, whether we know them or not. So we still enjoy getting them, but like, do you think that's sort of an older tradition? And if it isn't, then definitely sending the detailed letter about what's going on with every member of your family is.
Yeah, there's a new Netflix movie original about that second thing. So what are you, out of curiosity, are you proposing you build the card in Shutterfly and then take a screenshot and just text that to everybody before you pay for it? Is that your alternative?
No, I'm not even saying I agree. I like asking the question because we're big on social etiquette. But we all have many of us have social media profiles, and if we want to see what the so-and-so family looks like this year, in about 4 seconds I can find out. So I was just wondering if that's like a dated tradition that a precious few are keeping alive, and I'm glad that they are, because it lines our house for 30 days, and then we tear them all down and throw them away.
I don't know, man. It's growing up. I don't seem to remember getting as many Christmas cards as I get now. You would think that this would be one of those things that is like it's antiquated and it's on its way out, but I don't get that sense that it is.
It almost, not as the person who initiates that conversation every year. I certainly assist in the process, but that is my wife's like thing that she's excited about doing. And good for her. She's far more thoughtful than I am. This feels like one of those exceptions. I'm not saying that will gain more popularity, but I don't see it going away because it feels like for a highly technological America, this is one of those like middle class niceties that I think people see as like, I'd hate for that to go away. Like if you really sat and polled all the people who like doing it, I think they'd be like, I'd really hate to, you know, I'd hate to quit doing that.
There are some things that maybe just kind of seem vintage at this point, which makes them.
It's charm. It's holiday charm. It's it's like it's seeing snow today in Ohio added a little bit of specialness.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To the lights and the thing. And I think when you don't get snow, you feel it, and at least I feel it. And the holidays just aren't quite as sweet. And I think it's like there's just something about the holiday cards, and not everyone sends them every year, but like you're gonna get some from some people, even if it's on and off.
And if there's one time a year you're gonna do it, other than someone's birthday, sending a card, this is a great time of year to do it. Kendall likes reading a newspaper. I talked about researching one of those wax embossing things to like seal letters with. So like there is a cool sort of element to it. And again, I'm not saying we shouldn't stop. I'm just wondering. I know we used to get those like typed out, sometimes on a typewriter, letters of what was going on with each member of the household and their accomplishments from that year. And Stacy got third place in her science fair project. We're super proud of her. The dog is still our favorite fur baby, whatever, all those things.
I had in-laws were over last night. We did our first Christmas with them. Last night, and her mom brought her dog over. She always brings her dog, and it's a little poodle about the size of a groundhog. And it's the running joke that I like to poke fun at her dog. The dog is perfectly fine and acceptable, well trained, and whatever. It's good with the kids. But if there was ever a dog that would be called a fur baby, it would be that one. And like she doesn't. I mean, she goes to the grocery store without the dog. But if they're like leaving town for any reason, even if they're going to be right back, like the dog's coming. And so they joke about the dog being a fur baby, tongue in cheek, for the most part, about that. And one thing that crossed my mind, because there are some people in our lives, I'm sure that you guys have people in your lives where you wouldn't dare critique the fur baby talk because they actually have what they think are fur babies, and they would get mad at you for telling them they're not. And one little thing, I forget what it was, but my wife was saying something critical about the dog, and then her dad, the dog's name is Callie, said Callie, why don't you teach your sister something? And it made me laugh. And it's like, that's a whole nother point of view, a little thing that like I implanted in my head of like, if this conversation comes up and I accidentally stumble upon somebody who gets angry with you if you tell them that like dogs are not like children, and that raising a dog is not the same thing as raising a child. And like because I know of one person in particular who would fight me on that point. Like, okay, here's the thing. If you had a kid, if you had an actual child, would you consider them a sibling? Or do you think that you would put a little priority over your actual child? over your dog.
That move, addressing the
But-
dog directly and then referring to your wife as its sibling.
Yeah. So that's my new fun angle.
Oh man.
Later that night, I referred to the dog as my sister-in-law.
More like sister and Paul, am I right?
Oh, there you
Hey!
go. Hey, there it is. So, for all you fur baby folks out there,
Ugh, you're the worst.
Do your thing. I got my own problems. I'm complaining about how late Amazon packages are getting dropped off and what plastic containers I should keep from our carryout meals. You know, people can call up their pets whatever they want. We talked very lovingly about our grandmother who passed away last year, and her nickname was Queenie, and she saved a lot of different containers. And so that is built into my DNA, and I frequently am fighting against the urge to keep containers. But every now and then you just see a real good one, or you think of a unique need. And I did it at dinner. It was a small, like 3-4 ounce cup with a really tight fitting lid. And I'm like, that'd be really good for. And my wife just immediately was like, all right, Queenie, just throw it away. And so I've got my own problems, but it would be a useful container because that's the thing. And I'm like, I got to explain. No. Here's how I was thinking in my head that we could use it. It's not just like I'm going to wash out every plastic container with lid and just stash it for a thing. It's like specific use cases, but it doesn't matter. They can do whatever.
Is it solving a problem in a way that you don't already have a solution?
Here's what crossed my mind. Sometimes when I'm packing my daughter's lunch, she usually buys at school, but when I'm packing it, sometimes there are delicate foods in small amounts that like the containers in the little like pockets in her lunchbox. I don't want to throw something wet in there,
Right.
but then I don't have a good container that'll fit. And so I was thinking, I don't want to buy a whole sleeve of like 1,000 4-ounce cups, but here's one with a lid that's clean that I could like put raspberries in. And if I never see it again, I don't care because I'm getting ready to throw it away anyways.
Well,
so in my head, I was thinking like, or peel a mandarin orange and throw some orange slices in it. And if I never see that container again after she uses it, at least it will have served a purpose. So that's what I'm like. I know I could get on Amazon and order 1,000 and never would run out of those cups ever. I don't want 1,000. I just want a couple. And that fixes my problem. Anyways.
Well, they made like a bag of like I'm thinking of like a plastic bag that a person could put into a lunchbox.
Yeah. Sometimes
that like kind of like locks / zips
with a zip.
No, shut it. Those things get squished in there, and it's not the same. It needs to have some structure to the container, not be squishy that it can be squashed. That's not it. I know what I mean in my head.
Yeah, you know they make lunchbox containers, like reusable ones in all sizes. Even like when you order like ketchup, like smaller than a ramekin ketchup at a restaurant, they bring out like the little silver bullet of ketchup kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like you can buy those reusable. We have like 4 of them in our house for packing lunches purposes.
Well,
but
next time you send us a Christmas card, throw some of those in the box.
I should. But what you also have, if you have those, is now you just fancied up your house a little bit. So now, you know, you bake up some tater tots in your oven.
Yeah.
For a little snack. And now you can use your little cup and it'll be like you're in a restaurant.
There you go. I didn't keep the cup. I threw it away because I was criticized, and then I was feeling sheepish. I'm like, I don't really need it. I just thought of it. It felt like a good idea. But do you ever like stash like little things like that because you're like, this might come in handy? Twist ties, stuff like. Perfect example. I think the only person that comes to our house and asks for sugar and coffee is Kory, and so I'm not going to buy a ton of sugar. So I'll just go to Starbucks and order and be like, can I have 2 sugar packets on the side? And then I'll just throw them in a little thing. And then they're here when Kory comes over to have coffee because pretty much everyone else will do sweetener or cream or drink it black. And so Starbucks supplies me with a few extra sugar packets for Kory.
But I mean, do you not like have sugar in your pantry somewhere?
I do. I don't want to get a
For
whole like a
baking?
bag or a big thing. I need the packet for his convenience.
So thoughtful. And
I try to
Dylan, I'm
be.
right with you, man. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget where I was. I want to say it was like I don't want to say a wedding reception because I wouldn't have kept something like this from someone's wedding reception, but it was little. It had to be 2-inch by 2-inch. I'll call them trays. There was a little depth to them, maybe like a 1/2 inch deep. And they were like chamfered on the sides, like a 45-degree angle. And they stacked really nicely. And they were a very, very hard plastic, but it was still considered like something that you dispose of when you're done using it to put sauce or dip or something in. And wherever I was, they were throwing all these things away. And I was like, ooh, I could keep those to like sort things in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, because they're just really, really durable plastic. And so now like when my daughters are making jewelry with beads and they want to put their beads all in the different, organize them by the different types of beads and different colors of beads. Like I keep especially if it's organization, I'm with you on the resealable containers. Doing painting, when you mix a color, it gets really hard to make that color and get exact again if you should stop. So if you put a lid on something or even put a little wet paper towel over and then put the lid on, it keeps the paint wet for a long time. And then you don't have to try to mix and get that paint. So I'm constantly, Sherry throws out really nice Durex glass containers because the rubbery lid has cracked in one section. I'm like, ooh, I could use that for like, I love a good container.
Oh boy.
Thanks,
I could be rinsing off aluminum foil, but I'm not doing that. Okay.
Not Durex. Those are condoms. Pyrex.
Oh gosh.
Pyrex.
I hope you're not saving those and rinsing them out. That'd be
Yeah.
Heyo.
Yeah.
Pyrex. Wow. We're gonna get a text from John about that one.
yeah. Or our mom.
Yeah, that could keep a banana fresh.
2.5 years from now, she was asking me about something that I said on the podcast, and I didn't even remember. I'm being scolded for something, jokingly scolded for something that it was like, who would have come into your room and said that? And I must have said something to that effect on the podcast. I'm like, well, she's bringing it up, so it must not have been her. And I'm like, Dad? I don't remember. Anyways.
What else is going on? How you guys doing?
Man, things are good. We're not to deep dive. The college football bowl season has started. There's already been a couple really fun bowl games, which has been great. I just watched one today. I love bowl games that are on during the workday. I had my iPad on my desk beside my work computer with Western Kentucky and Old Dominion ODU, and that was crazy. ODU was up 28 to like 7, and then Western Kentucky came back and won. So bowl games are on. We're watching a lot of Christmas movies and TV shows, and yeah, just trying to enjoy the holiday spirit. How about you guys?
Yeah, busy. I'd tell you one really fun thing I did. We've got a couple at our church who, one of them recently had foot surgery and can't drive, and then her husband also recently developed some medical issues, and he can't drive at the moment either. And so like we've been like taking them to and from places off and on, and various people are helping them out, and they're getting along okay. But like I was taking him home. He's on the worship team, and I was taking him home from practice one night, and like I noticed like on the drive to his house, like there were a couple of neighborhoods, and I'd mentioned to him like, if it were just me, I'd be like pulling into those neighborhoods and just like slow driving, looking at, like, that's something that I do by myself relatively often. Just look at people's Christmas lights. And then I also will do it with the family sometimes and whatnot. But my point is, like, I will also just do it for me if I have the time. And he's like, "Oh, Judy and I, we love doing that." And I was like, "All right." And so this past week, like, I arranged for my family to go pick them up for the purpose of just driving around neighborhoods in their area to look at lights. And it was such a
Nice,
fun little
man.
outing that we had. And so that was great. And then now it's sort of like full head of steam barreling toward Christmas. um like he had asked, he and his wife are looking to go to one of the big drive-through light shows in the area, and asked if we wanted to come along this week. And I'm like, we don't have a free night. Like, sorry.
Ooh.
Like, it just, we can't. And but I mean, it's all good. It's good stuff. And yeah, one thing that I'm super excited about is I was asked by my pastor about doing something on Friday night this year, the Friday before Christmas. And so, because I do this Good Friday thing, that's a pretty typical Good Friday service that a lot of churches do. It's a little different, maybe a little bit more artsy in its feel, a little bit more somber in its feel, possibly, because of the way that I do it. And there's a whole lighting thing that happens and everything. And we were talking about doing that in reverse before Christmas, doing a small intimate thing, one evening near Christmas where we build anticipation. And so, like, I'm talking to my wife about it, giving her like what ideas I have in my head of like where in scripture, what timeline I feel like I want to follow. And we're looking up scripture verses together. And while we're doing that, we're listening to Andrew Peterson's Behold the Lamb of God, which is a big tour. If you don't know about it, you need to look it up. It's amazing. They put on the show every year, and tour with it. And it occurs to me that Behold the Lamb of God follows the exact timeline basically that I'm looking for. They go back a little bit further. The big idea that I have is that it starts with Israel in their heyday, amazing kings, a nation of conquerors, and then watching their downfall and then turning their back on God and them being left to their own devices and them being conquered themselves, and then the prophets going silent for 400 years and they're just sitting in it. And then so that's the timeline I would follow, and then it ends with the shepherds in the field. And that's a hard stop right there. And then you're prepared for Christmas Eve service, right? So that's the whole idea. And that's essentially what Behold the Lamb of God does. And so I'm poking around at their website and I saw that you can buy a congregational license to show a stream of the current year's performance. And so I'm like, I want to do that. I want to invite my church to come watch this thing that has meant so much to my wife and I. Like, we love this thing. And so we're doing that on Friday. We're having a viewing with it on Friday. I've never been so excited about like watching something that I've already seen. Like, it's rare that I feel this excited about sharing something with people, to say like I love this thing and none of you have seen it. And I can't talk to any of you about it, like, because you've not seen it. It's kind of like trying to be a hockey fan in Ohio. It's like, nobody knows what you're talking about. And so it doesn't work. So I'm super excited about that, about Friday night, and other Christmas stuff. We got family coming in and all of that stuff. So very busy, a lot of planning, a lot of rehearsing, and those kinds of things going on. And, I created an AV project for myself for Friday night, but looking forward to all of it.
A labor of love. And I know you've talked about that performance in previous episodes and how much it means to you and Amy. That's awesome. So you heard it here, folks. If you're in Central Ohio and want to hang out with Kendall on Friday night before Christmas and check out that show, we'll get you deets. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, man. I feel like just yesterday it was the 2nd or 3rd of December. And then I kind of got into the mode of wrapping up work projects, wrapping up freelance projects, turned around and it's Christmas in 7 days. And I'm like, what? So yeah, I feel like we went from the 1st of December right to like, it's time to start Christmas celebration.
Yeah, I saw that exact meme. Like we got 15 days into December in 2 days. Yeah, it just flew by. So
it feels like that.
Well, this feels like a really good place to take a quick break, hear from some of our friends, and come back with some more delicious banter on From the Middle.
Hey there, I'm Dave, the host of Beer in Front. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. I'll talk about some old school beers that maybe you've forgotten about, some new beers that have the potential to be a classic. I'll also talk to various people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
I'm very, speaking of delicious, I'm very excited. A local restaurant went up for sale, and it wasn't a place that we ever went. And apparently the owner wasn't very nice. So it was kind of like, I think some people were trying to avoid going there. And we saw what's going in, and it's one of the closest sit down restaurants to our neighborhood that's not Mark Pies, which I'll fill you guys in on another time. It's gonna be a really nice, like, Italian kitchen and pizzeria and like wine bar for people that are into all of those things, or a combination of those things. And it's like the one thing my wife and I have been saying for years, like, we just make it good. You got Fazoli's. Like, that's if you want some pasta, there's plenty of pizza places. Like, every average pizza place, we know there's a couple really good pizza places nearby, but there's no like Italian places. And so excited. That's like a Christmas wish come true whenever that opens. We were even like, there's another location. It's about an hour from here. So it's not a chain or anything. It's like somebody that lives in this part of Ohio is opening up a second location. So we were looking at some of the food pics.
What is it?
Looks incredible. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me pull up the name. So if you're in Eastern Ohio,
Olive Gard. Do you know?
Garden. No. I'm gonna guess it's Tiago's. It's THIAGO''S Italian Kitchen and Bar. The pictures, you can look it up on Facebook. It's in New Lexington, Ohio, which is not a big town. The pictures of the food look fantastic, and I'm just really excited. I hope it's gonna be really good. I mean, I'm shouting it out before it's even open, but like, that's what they say is going up. And my wife's favorite food is Italian, so like bruschetta, pasta, salad is like her, death row meal, right? So like, that's what she's ordering. And so it's good. I like talking about food. It's fun.
I'm excited for you, man. And first of all, how dare you? Fazoli's is real Italian, real fast. Secondly, is this the building that I always ask about every time I'm in your neighborhood?
Yes,
that owner's not very nice, and people in town don't like him.
Yeah. And look, I'm not knocking Fazoli's if that's your thing. I'm just saying, most Italian restaurants, if they have seafood dishes, I'm all about trying it. But when Fazoli's wants to try seafood, I'm hesitant. And you tell me why. Without knowing my explanation, I would put money on the fact that you can probably guess why. In a similar vein of Taco Bell's Pacific Shrimp Taco, similar amount of hesitation. So
right here in the heart of the Midwest,
you just piece together my hesitation.
What is it? What is it about seafood that makes us feel that way? Because I agree with you. I agree with that sentiment. What is it about seafood that makes it seem like it's more apt to be off than
It's volatility. It's the
Yeah.
most
The-
volatile of foods.
They're light. It's light and delicate. If your steak is very rare, you're still probably fine. If your seafood is very rare, you might not make it home. Um, it's very delicate food, and we know that it's never coming from anywhere nearby. It's not like if I get a really, really good steak or burger or chicken or pork, any of that could have been from a local farm with
Mhm.
where we are. We know this.
I mean, it wasn't, but
It wasn't, but we in our minds it could have been, right?
Sure,
Like so,
yeah.
like in the same way that my Taco Bell corn tortillas, the corn is from the field down the road. Wink, wink. But this, we know we're just our our lives and our hopes and dreams are in the hands of a driver of an ice truck making $12 an hour. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That we're just hoping doesn't open the back of that truck and forget to close it while he's stopping to get gas. And so, yeah, I know it's not hard to have an ice truck and bring seafood in from the coast in half a day, but something about that still feels.
Or even like shrimp, where they say like the freshest way to buy shrimp is frozen.
Yeah, I know.
Like if you're going to buy shrimp in the Midwest, especially, like
it feels dicey.
Don't buy it from the seafood counter, like because that stuff was probably frozen anyway. And if it wasn't, the stuff that's in the freezer section is literally going to be better.
It was frozen immediately when it was freshly caught instead of
right,
maybe or maybe not being frozen and thawed multiple times.
Yes.
I know, but that's also that Midwestern conservatism that it's like, well, be careful with the seafood. We live in the middle of fields,
Well,
because
even if you live on the coasts, I'm hearing that you have to be wary of your seafood. Have you guys heard of the growing rise in fraudulent seafood?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore. What?
So there's a couple layers of this, right? We all know there's like fake crab meat. That's not what we're talking about.
Sure.
We're talking about very, very low value fish being labeled as very high value fish, and or even worse, things that aren't even fish being labeled as fish. So like, so you can take, pardon the term, you can take the buttholes of cows and pigs and make it look and taste a lot like calamari. And this is like a real thing that's happening in major cities where they're like taking the ends of not even fish and like,
oh boy.
As someone who has no problem eating meat, this is why plant-based meat is the future. All right. So that I'm not eating cow butthole when I think that I'm eating a delicious seafood platter.
So this is
That
a thing
is
that's happening.
amazing.
I'm looking at, I just Googled it real fast. Guardian, CSNBC.
Maybe don't Google cow butthole like Kory just did.
Yeah,
Just let
How to
him
prepare
explain.
cow butthole.
try fake seafood. But yeah, it's like there's a whole, because the profits, I mean, imagine the profits of, if you're selling butthole as calamari, huge profit margins.
I would imagine, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, folks. Hope you weren't eating.
Wow. I'm not excited
I
about
had
the
calamari
Italian
like a week
restaurant
ago at a restaurant that I'd never been in. And now I'm feeling, and now they seemed reputable,
anymore.
but it actually was a relatively new Italian place.
So there you go.
Small little
Yeah. Interesting.
place.
So since we're close enough to Christmas, I have a question for you. Have you guys, I told you I've been watching Christmas movies. Have you guys watched any yet?
Oh, yeah.
Plenty. You've been on that train probably since November, I'm guessing. Yeah. Here's a question for you. And you got to actually pick a popular one. If you could take any popular Christmas movie and just totally yank it out of rotation on cable and in your household, you're just tired of it. And you can't say I'll be home for Christmas with Jonathan Taylor Thomas from 1991. It's got to be like a popular,
Think about, yeah.
like an actual popular Christmas movie Are there any that you would yank out of rotation? You're just
Yeah,
with?
A Christmas
uh,
Story.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
I wonder, have you guys seen the new sequel to that was supposedly pretty good?
No,
I
We
wonder
talked
if
about that on here, right? Last year.
yeah,
we did talk about it.
I think we talked about it coming out. I haven't seen it yet. I'm curious if that would change your opinion.
I'm saying that because is it TNT that plays it for 24 hours straight
Yeah.
or something like that?
TBS or TNT.
TBS
It's
or TNT or
24 hours of a Christmas story.
one of the T's. You know, growing up, we would just have that on in the background and while we had Christmas Day, and it just got so old so quick. And I know there's very funny parts and I appreciate it for what it is, but because it's like I was put in a room. It feels like I was put in a room and forced to watch it over and over and over and over and over. And I'm perfectly content to never see it again.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I went, I feel like, longer in my life without ever being exposed to that movie than most people did. Because it wasn't just on in our house ever. And then when it finally, like, I'm a teenager or whatever, and I watch it, I'm like, why do people like this movie? I just think it's obnoxious. And it's like some of that style of humor is perfectly okay with me, but I don't know what it is about that movie. If there's like a couple of the characters that I just can't get over, or what it is. I never thought it was. I think maybe the expectations were so high because all my friends loved that movie.
Mm.
And then I'm watching it and I'm ready for like the best day of my life. And I'm like, oh, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just didn't like it. And then, but I felt like maybe that's what it is. I felt like I should really like it.
Mm.
And, but I didn't. And so I wished that everybody would stop acting like I should really like it. It came up even recently that someone was I had said that I didn't really care for that movie, and they were like taken aback at it about that. But
Oh, more than that one, The Polar Express.
oh,
Yeah,
too
see
long.
that those were a couple of mine. I think the you know what I would be on board for if they wanted to remake that with modern CGI, they could literally frame for frame make the same movie. That was in such an awkward period for graphics and building emoting human beings that there is nothing wrong with taking that movie and completely redoing it frame for frame in a more modern style. Like, think about how much more practice Disney has gotten at live action movies and CGI just in the last, like with Marvel and Star Wars in the last 10 years. I feel like they could redo that movie. The soundtrack is fantastic. The audio and the effects are great. That was going to be probably mine, was Polar Express. It was such an awkward period for graphics. So same question for music.
Mm.
Is there a popular song you're just done? You get rid of it, take it out of rotation.
I think this one's probably a lot easier for people.
There's a lot more options.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like there's some obvious ones. There's that Paul McCartney one.
Oh yeah.
Peace to the World, or
No.
Do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah. Do they know?
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
That one can go away. That one go away. That's
I was
actually my number one
surprised.
answer.
Our uncle, who is kind of a young at heart ish uncle, doesn't like Vince Guaraldi Trio at all. I found that out only as an adult in the last few years. I was surprised by that. He seems like the right age and sense of humor and temperament to enjoy Peanuts. And so, not that he doesn't, but you'd think that the music would bring about a nostalgic, positive feeling. Doesn't like Vince Guaraldi at all. So that was surprising. I have to go Merry Christmas, Darling by the Carpenters. Always the biggest groan. Always the biggest groan for me when that comes on. Just turn the channel immediately. Don't want to hear it.
I know it's a phenomenon, and I don't want to be this guy, but the Mariah Carey song.
It's okay.
I mean, is that going to be a hotly debated one? Only because it's so
Which one?
overplayed.
Which one?
The one that she
The
comes
one,
out of
the
one
song of Christmas.
the one she comes out of hiding for and still makes millions on every year. And
Well,
like
she's like the queen of Christmas, man. She's got like
the main one.
And Michael Bublé is the king of Christmas, and they both just
All I Want for Christmas Is You.
oh, okay, yeah, that.
yeah. And
You know, that's the one that if I want to bug my wife, I tell Alexa to play that everywhere throughout the whole house.
yeah,
And there was one time my kids like gave me an idea. They're like, "Hey, let's prank mama." And so like I told like the Alexa, we have one in the family room and one adjacent to it in the kitchen. And I set them to play that song at 5-minute intervals opposite of each other. So yeah, anyway, so like hopefully like she would get confused as to like which one she needs to turn off.
yeah.
And so that was fun.
Shout out to my buddy Tom. If you, we worked together for a very long time, and every year I would force him to listen to The Happy Elf by Harry Connick Jr. If you're not familiar and you want a really good song to bug somebody, I enjoy it because I now associate it with seeing my friend cringe and wince through
Boy.
3 or 4 minutes worth of music, which I just found hysterical. That's a really good one. And I saw a bit of debate earlier online with this question, and I thought I had to ask. And the top response was Feliz Navidad. And I felt like it's the first chance, like the first decent ethnic song we get with Christmas in America, and we want to like build a wall and keep that song out. That just felt like too much. Like, it's okay to have one ethnic song in the mix that's not American.
Listen, ethnicity has absolutely zero to do with that. It's like the others that we've put on, some of the others that we've put on this list, and that like it is just an obnoxious set of 10 words over and over and over and over again, and that's the song.
That was the joke. That was the joke, Kendall.
I agree. I agree.
No, I get it. I understand. Anything repetitive is gonna get old fast. That's kind of the Happy Elf, right? I understand with Feliz Navidad. That's I don't know if that's the Mariah Carey one necessarily. I think
That's why I get so excited when a band or artist that I like puts out a Christmas album, because I'm like, oh, finally, just some new stuff to put in the rotation. Because I mean, you can obviously build your own playlist. That's what playlists are for. But like, you just get so tired of the same 12 that you're just like anything for a little variety. Like, I'm going back now and try to find one. I heard Leon Redbone's Christmas Island, and I love Hawaii, and it just has this cool Hawaiian vibe. And I was like, that's a fun one. Leon Redbone's got a really unique voice. He's the voice of Leon in Elf, for those that don't know, but like a longtime musical artist, kind of alternative kind of guy. Something different, you know?
No. Like Mele Kaliki Maka gives it just a little bit of something different.
Hey, that's too ethnic. Hey, since we've taken some movies out of the Christmas rotation, is there anything else you guys are watching in their place? What are you streaming?
So I've begun watching Fargo, the
Yeah.
TV series Fargo.
When did that start?
That's like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, they've got like 1 billion seasons.
Yeah, but there's a new. Didn't they re-up it? Like they did a revamp?
Yes, I think. Well, I don't. Is it revamped or just continuing?
Okay, so the original one started. Oh, hold on.
Is my guy Ewan McGregor in at least some episodes of that of Fargo?
I don't.
Okay, I'm thinking of the movie, obviously. Okay, the series.
Are they remaking the movie?
Okay, so the series was from 2014 to 24.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Is it a comedy like the movie Fargo?
It's so I'm unfamiliar with the film. Never saw it. So I don't know what kind of parallels or whatnot there. But the sense that I get is that the series just kind of like takes some moments to pay homage to the film, but isn't actually trying to be the film.
The series is set in the same fictional universe as the film, in which events took place in 1987 between Minneapolis and Brainerd, Minnesota. The first season features the buried ransom money from the film in a minor subplot, and additionally, a number of references are made connecting the series to the film. So
yeah, it's not the same
loose.
story.
Yeah,
but there's some nods to it.
Yeah. So Ewan McGregor is in it because that's where he met his current wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was also in the new Ahsoka series. There's a lot of famous people on this show.
Yeah, I mean Billy Bob Thornton is like the main character, well, the main villain.
Yeah,
anyway,
Colin
how are you feeling about it? You like it? Is it good?
I do like it. It's a very dark drama comedy situation, which it sounds like that probably tracks with what the film was. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. The premise, I mean the it's the kind of dark comedy that has you laughing at the fact you just watched a murder. Right? Because of the scenarios and the way that they act around it, and everything. Like the dude kills his wife. We're talking about like first episode stuff, so I'm not like giving away plot, but but the way that it happens and like the look on faces is just funny as it's happening, and it's good if you like dark humor. That is tongue in cheek and is very self-aware. I think you would enjoy Fargo.
Honestly, they have the accent. I mean, Frances McDormand made that accent in the movie, and it was just the best.
Yeah, the northern Midwest accent thing.
That's not even something I would normally watch, but honestly, I'm looking at this cast list, which is ridiculous. The amount of people in the show that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus episodes. I mean, it's like a who's who of holy crap. It's like a who's who of everyone that you've seen and everything for the last 10 years that wasn't just a blockbuster.
Is it snowy? Yeah. Will it feel fun to watch at Christmas time?
You know what? It might. It might.
Awesome.
So you could.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. If you're the kind of person that's like just intrigued by like a large cast, and especially a large cast, just go to IMDb and look it up and you'll be blown away by the number of people and how many episodes they've been on. It's wild.
So, and then I also watched Mobland on Hulu, the film starring John Travolta.
What'd you think?
It was, I liked that one too, and it's not comedy; it's straight up drama. I don't know. Are you guys aware of this movie? I was not.
I was not. 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was recommended to me. John Travolta plays he's a sheriff of a small town, and I mean he's solving a murder. It's a good film. It's a solid film. I wouldn't like, if you're not already on Hulu, I wouldn't go get Hulu to watch it or anything of that nature. But if you have Hulu and you know you're in between series or something like that, it might be a good stopgap for you.
There you go.
In and I was entertained.
Speaking of if you have Hulu, if you have Disney Plus and Hulu, and they're both tied to like the same bundle, there's currently a Hulu beta app inside the Disney Plus app, which freaking finally, because the Hulu app is the worst. It's been nice being able to search, and like I'll search for something, it'll say like really subtly part of your Hulu subscription. And so I was looking for like Miracle on 34th Street today. That's 20th Century Fox, which is like Disney, but kind of not Disney fully yet. and that was in the Disney Plus app because of the Hulu thing. So that's fun. So if you didn't know that that was a thing, that's a thing, and you might be able to do the beta and be able to search Hulu content on Disney Plus.
There you go.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
So I get my movie recommendations from a lot of places. Sometimes you guys on this podcast, sometimes other places. And you guys know I'm a Bobby Lee fan. Bobby Lee happens to be a bit of a movie buff. And in different episodes, he'll compare top favorite movies with some of the guests that they have on Tiger Belly. And one that he always mentions is a film called Old Boy, which is a Korean film from 2003. And I have been trying to buy it for years on Apple TV, on the movies the app thing, but it's not been available. You can't buy it. It just says coming soon. It's said coming soon for years. This week it finally came out. I don't know, whatever sort of like international red tape they were trying to get through to make it. So this, again, 2003. The director is Park Chan-wook. And essentially, this guy's kidnapped. He's imprisoned for 15 years. He's released, and he doesn't know who or why he was put in this like weird. It wasn't an official prison. It was like basically a hotel that they barred up and just kept him in. And so he didn't know who he had made so mad that they would kidnap him and put him in this prison. So his mission is to seek revenge on whoever it was. According to cinephiles, Park Chan-wook with this movie and a couple others, like this put Korean movie making on the map, which years down the road would continue with their huge success in both TV and movies. Squid Game is the most recent example that we're all familiar of how Korean entertainment has just been on the rise. But they say this movie is what started it all. And I love Bobby Lee. And Bobby Lee, this is his favorite movie. I'm going to watch it. Oh my. Disturbing doesn't even, it's one of those ones that like, that's going to sit with me for a few years. Like, the themes are great. Some of the art of it and how it's shot and the color palette, and I'm there for all of it. But the subject matter itself, revenge is a big theme. Revenge is a big theme in many Korean TV shows and movies. There's a big old honking twist in this one. And man, it's just like, like just kind of a heavy, it sits with you. So if that's what you're in the mood for this holiday season, check out Old Boy. Not the new
Are you talking
version.
about like morally disturbing kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There is I don't know if it's a direct remake. There is an Old Boy with Thanos. Who's Thanos played by? I forget.
Yeah. Nick Nolte? No.
No. Anyway,
Yeah.
got it right here. It's played by Josh Brolin. There is an Old Boy with Josh Brolin. I don't know if it's the same premise, but it isn't that one. It's the Korean one. And boy, oof. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, anyway.
Also nod to the movie. I watched Parasite, which won Best Picture. The first international film to win Best Picture a few years ago. And Parasite was pretty out there. So yeah, I can imagine having watched Parasite because it won Best Picture and it brought it to my attention. I can imagine that there are similar movies coming out of Korea.
Yeah, so apparently I just looked it up while you were talking. So apparently the Josh Brolin Old Boy is a remake of the Korean version. So it's the American version and it doesn't have great reviews. So anyway.
If Ricky Gervais didn't work on it, then I'd just watch the original.
And then in terms of comedy, because I'm always watching comedy, we like our comedy. I'm on a Stavros Halkias kick. Stavros, he's a Greek guy from New York. He's very funny. He had a special on YouTube first.
He's very Greek and very New York also.
That one is called The Fat Rascal. It's called Fat Rascal. Then he was a guest on Tiger Belly. And then he has a new one on Netflix, which is called, looking right now, Sorry,
Is he
folks.
is he any less? I'll ask while you're looking him up. Is he any less crude in his specials than he is in his reels?
Is he? I don't really watch his reels.
He's pretty crude in his reels.
Yeah, he's pretty crude in his specials. Sorry. Fat Rascal is the new one on Netflix. His first one on YouTube is called Live at the Lodge Room. So if you want to start chronologically, start with Live at the Lodge Room and then watch Fat Rascal on Netflix. Little crude, little blue, but funny's funny.
Yeah. I hear you.
That's
Also, I
what's
saw Netflix had another Mike Birbiglia special from 2019, so I think we're going to go watch that next.
Nice. That's all I got, fellas.
Yeah, I got things queued. I've been watching mostly Christmas movies. Sebastian Maniscalco has a new show called Bookie on HBO. I've heard about Julia Child on HBO, not the movie Julia and Julia, but Julia, a series on HBO, is supposed to be really good. That was brought to my attention in discussions of the Frasier reboot, which David Hyde Pierce, aka Niles, is not in. People were talking about how he's killing it on Julia right now. With the person that plays Frasier's ex-wife, who's also in Julia. I'm blanking on everybody's names right now, but there's a couple
Sarah
of
Lancashire.
There's a couple alumni from the original Frasier that are doing the show Julia. So that's another one that's queued up. Before I know it, Masters of the Air on Apple TV will probably be out, and plenty of other things to watch. So no shortage. And if you haven't seen it, go check out the trailer for Marvel's Echo. This is a tie-in from Hawkeye. Hawkeye and Kingpin have been introduced. Echo was introduced in Hawkeye. Kingpin has been introduced in Daredevil and in Hawkeye, and that's going to be like a 6-part. All the episodes I think are going to drop at once thing, which looks very gritty. Think like when Daredevil first came out on Netflix is kind of what that looks like. So if you want to see something MCU with some characters you've seen before, the Echo trailer looks sick.
Awesome.
So,
sounds good.
Cool. That's it. That's all I got.
The people won't hear from us until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, most of. Yeah, I was going to say everybody.
Yeah.
Say everybody. Bye.